I absolutely love the start of a new month because it means I get to do my favorite thing ever, which is setting up my bullet journal, obviously. Today we're going to be setting up for May in my 2026 bullet journal, and I am so excited to share this theme with you. If you are new to the channel, hi, my name is Nedika. I'm an IBDP 1 student currently living in India, and I post mostly bookish and journaling content with some study stuff on the side. Before we get on with the video, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. Okay, so let's just flip over to our cover page for May. As you can see, I already have it all penciled out, and I like to keep it that way because it means there's less of a chance that I make a huge mistake. The supplies I'm using today are more than I usually do, but are still very simple. I have my black Tombow Fudnowski, these two green Tombow ABT dual brush pens, this green washi tape, and this green scrapbook paper that I just printed out. Some other stuff that I'm using also include my Pilot High-Tech Point V5 liquid gel pen, this ruler, and my glue tape and correction tape from Muji. So I'm just gonna go in and actually freehand this border, which is something I never ever do, so if I mess it up, I'm gonna cry. So let's just talk a little bit about the theme that I've chosen for this month's setup. I'm primarily using the color green because something that I'm trying to do with this journal is using very different colors from month to month, because last year everything was blue and I haven't focused on green yet. I'm just going in with my dark green Tombow and freehanding this border. So now that we have this border, I am going to cut off a bit of scrapbook paper, rip it up, and then stick it in the corner here. If there's one thing I'm terrified of doing in my journals, it's cutting things up and then sticking them in, which is funny because my main form of decoration this month is the scrapbook paper that I'm sticking into every single page in this setup. So I have this green gingham scrapbook paper that I've just printed off, and I had to print it because I don't have scrapbook paper because I don't normally use it. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just going to go in with my Tombow Fudnowski and write out May. So I actually had a completely different font style planned out, but I decided to change it last minute. And then I am going to add in a little bit of washi tape. Spoiler alert, I didn't use this washi tape. Here I am frantically searching through my giant washi tape box trying to find a replacement because I hated the original tape. However, this is literally the only spread in the entire setup in which I'm using this washi tape, and that's annoying. And there we have our cover page. Flipping over to the monthly calendar, I'm actually terrified of the spread because of all the lines I have to freehand. So now I'm gonna go in with that same dark green Tombow and just freehand all these lines, and this might take a while. So let's speed it up. Something else I'm doing differently this month is literally not using a scale in the entire setup, save for one spread where I needed straight lines. I'm also rounding all the corners for all the boxes because I think it just adds to the overall charm and cuteness of the theme. My calendar boxes are all 6 grid spaces by 6 grid spaces, and I have the first 4 days of the week on the left. And oh, I just realized I didn't put headers in. Oh well. The last 3 days of the week are on the left. I always leave this side panel on the right here for decoration that matches the theme, and this month it's just a panel of that same green paper. Alright, the next thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna add the paper on the side. So I'm just cutting off that length of paper and sticking it in. I like to rip up the edges because then it looks very scrapbooky and organic. I think I'm just scared of sticking stuff in because I don't really like bulky journals, and I'm not particularly known for my incredible scrapbooking capabilities. My favorite way to stick stuff into my journals, which is mostly just book covers in my reading journal, is this glue tape. And this particular one is from Muji. I love it because it's refillable, but it's just a very convenient and mess-free method for sticking stuff anywhere. Then I'm just going in with the lighter green Tombow and adding in all the day numbers. I would like to add that I am using a wall calendar as a reference. I'm not a wizard. I don't remember all the day numbers. Now I'm adding in the title, which is just the name of the month in that same black calligraphy. Moving on to my sleep and study trackers. These are basically the same layout and I use them to track my sleep and study habits. I'm using a scale here because I want that nice clean line, and I'm also using a black pen because I will be using my Tombos to fill in the tracker. These two basically just track the amount of hours I've slept and how much I've studied on that particular day. I have fallen off with keeping track of these things towards the end of the month, but I'm trying to get better, I swear. The layout itself is really simple. There's a vertical line that's 31 spaces down, and the horizontal line is 24 spaces across. Each row represents a different day, and an hour on the horizontal line is 2 spaces. I'm putting the paper in the upper outer corners of both pages here because symmetry, but also because I'm trying to add some variation in where the paper goes on each spread. I think I really need to get a corner rounder. And then for these two, I'm just going to do sleep and study as with the headings with my Tombow Foodnosky and just leave it at that because it's a very heavy spread once it's all filled out. My Tombow Foodnosky is actually my favorite pen ever. These next two pages are also quite simple. These are my highlights and stats pages. So my highlights page kind of moves between my bullet journal and also my journal. It's basically just 31 spaces down and each row represents a certain day. Then I can just go in and write in a couple of words on the best part of my day. The paper here is just going down the entire outer edge of both pages. My stats page is a fun little memory keeping spread where I can write down my favorite book of the month, my favorite song, my favorite artist, stuff like that. I think my least favorite part of this setup was actually ripping the paper up because it's low-key kind of annoying because you have to do it in a very artful way. Oh, the paper got stuck to the wrong part of the page and I was panicking. But it's okay because I somehow managed to get it off the page without ripping any of the paper. Aside from sticking stuff into my journal, another thing I've really never done before is cutting parts out of it, and that's what I'm going to be doing today because we're doing a Dutch door style weekly. So this is next week in my journal. As you can see, I haven't filled anything in yet, but as you can, it's a dynamic kind of weekly. Like this is one all filled out. And I really liked that dynamic daily logging kind of style, but I also really missed having my pre-sectioned day layouts. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have pre-sectioned days as well as daily logging, and then also all my little nuances that I love having in my weeklies. So word of the week, a habit tracker, a notes app, and then a little bit of social media planning because I've been doing that in my notes app for way too long. Another thing is I like to have all my weeklies the same way in all my journals, so I'm gonna go ahead and just cut everything out all at once, and so I will come back to you once I am done with my journal surgery. I'm just cutting out the outer half of the right side of this spread so that I can see the full left hand side as well as part of the page behind the right hand one. I don't have a corner rounder, so I manually cut these corners and they're kind of uneven, but it's fine. It's okay. I say it's fine and then it's probably going to bother me a lot while I'm actually using it, and then in my flip through I'll be like, oh, those corners really irritated me the entire time I was using this journal. So I'm using the dark green Tombow again here and sectioning out 7 boxes on the left hand side of the page in that same broken up line work. This is my weekly log. It's where all of my pre-planned events go. I added a highlight to the top of the Dutch door with Monday and 04. That's my daily log. I also added the day headers as well as the week number in the black calligraphy. On the other spread, I'm putting in a divider line and then making a box for the word of the week. This is something I've been doing all year, and I really like being able to set a tone for the week ahead with my chosen word. I'm also including a small notes section, and then we have my habit tracker. I actually didn't have a monthly habit tracker in April because I found that I wasn't keeping up with it, but throughout April, I found that I still wanted one, so I compromised with a weekly one instead. Then I'm adding in all the titles, and down here is my social media planner. There's 4 spaces for short form content and 1 for YouTube. I decided to put this in here because right now I'm planning social media stuff in my notes app and on sticky notes, and we don't want that. And now you can enjoy a time lapse of me doing the exact same thing 3 times over again. I like to smash out all my weeklies in one go because I know I won't set them up if I leave it week to week. I put pen to paper on all of my weeklies and they're all done. The only thing left is the little strip of paper at the bottom of all of them. And I think I definitely overestimated how much paper I would need because I printed out multiple sheets, but I think I can get done with maybe 1 or max 2. Let's see. And here we have more paper cutting in case you wanted to see me cut more paper. I'm adding a strip to the bottom edge of the left-hand spread on every single weekly. Let us do one final flip through of my May 2026 bullet journal setup. We started with this absolutely gorgeous cover page. I think this is the spread that I'm most in love with. I love how simple it is, and I think the border really just makes it look adorable. And I'm also really happy that I didn't stick to my original plan for the font because I love this calligraphy. Flipping over to the calendar, I'm not very happy with all this empty space. I think I might stick stuff in the future, but I really love this scrapbook paper that I chose. I think it's adorable. Then we have my sleep and study logs, and they're the same tracker, and I just kept the scrapbook paper on opposite edges to maintain symmetry. And I did the same thing here for my highlights and stats pages where the scrapbook paper is on opposite ends to maintain symmetry. Moving over to my weekly logs, these are all the same layout. We have a weekly log here. This is 7 spaces, 1 for each day of the week. And this is where I can plan out events in advance. And then these 3 columns here, 1 on this Dutch door, 2 on this Dutch door and 1 on this other page are for the daily logs. We have a word of the week column, a habit tracker, a notes section, and a place for me to plan out my social media content. The same weekly layout is used in all 4 weeklies for this month. And here the scrapbook paper goes down the bottom edge. And that is it for today's video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And I will see you next time.